Welcome to Live Tonight. Good to see you guys here tonight. And I think we've got some pretty cool people in the live stream tonight. I saw Doug in here early. Welcome, Doug. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's all of us together. Again, we're going to be talking the new G2, Blackmagic Design's new camera. Blackmagic Design has done it again. I dressed up. I got my little polo shirt on. Going to play a little Blackmagic Design tonight. Thank you for joining me. TVJ, as always, good to have you. Tony, Quick Tech Solutions, thank you so much for joining me tonight. So I just want to say right off the bat that things have been kind of crazy around here in the studio. I think I can show you guys this. Let's see if I got this camera is live. There you go. If I turn the chat off the air, that'll disappear. And then I can just cut to it. So I will cut to channel 3 here. But there is the Rodecaster Pro version 2 all hooked up. And you can see, let's turn the logo off. You can get a better look. It is working tonight. You can see the levels right there of my microphone. And I've been working on the settings. So hopefully it sounds good. But the Rodecaster Pro version 2 is hooked up. What a challenge last week. Thank you guys so much for being a part of last week. That was kind of crazy, if I'm to be perfectly honest with you. Turn that off. Got to switch back here. Want to say hi to Freddie. Saw you just popped in here. Freddie, it's good to have you tonight. We're just touching base. Always good to have you. And Hank, it's good to have you here as well. Let's see if I can get that on the screen. Thanks for joining us, Hank. I appreciate you guys being so regular. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much. You can go ahead and greet each other there in the background. Say thank you. So I will put that up. Thank you for that, letting me know it sounds good. So obviously I'm having to adjust the settings on the microphone. I completely unhooked my Rodecaster Pro. I didn't put them side by side to compare. I have had a number of things come up, so I didn't get to shoot the video I was planning on shooting. I'm still looking for a text tonight to see if I'm going to be working off-site tomorrow, and I have not received that text, just looking on my phone. So literally still planning my day tomorrow, and but tonight we're going to be together for about an hour and 15 minutes. And then I got to go buy a tent. So I'm actually shooting a commercial or helping with production of a commercial. So I'm not actually shooting it. There's a company shooting it, but I've been helping approve scripts, and I will probably be there as a executive producer. We'll see. So that depends if I'm going out of town or not. Couple more people here to say hi to. David, thank you for joining me tonight. Good to have you. So I think I got everybody. I think I said hi to Doug Forrest earlier. He's saying hi to everybody else. So take that chat off the air for a minute. And again, so you guys can see this, the Rodecaster Pro is hooked up. And so there it is on the desk. That's a live shot. There I am waving my hand at it. And obviously, I could bring it in to SuperSource, and if we get a chance, we'll do that later. I also brought, we are going to talk about the Blackmagic Design G2, so bear with me, but I brought my Rode Blimp, and this has been converted. There is no XLR cable coming out of here. And then the dead cat cover, why they call it a dead cat, I do not know. So please don't be offended. So this is a fur that cuts down the wind noise. And I actually have my Rode shotgun microphone. And if we get a chance tonight, we will talk just a little bit about this, but it's in this container. So there it is. So great for on-site jobs with the boom pole. Got it here too as well. Right there. And so we don't talk a lot about audio like this, but I do want to talk about it if we get a chance tonight. So those things are right here just to give you an idea. And then I have my X5 wireless kit. So this kit has the ability to transmit and receive, and it has phantom power as well, because that is a condenser microphone and it needs phantom power. Those are all charged up. So don't plan on plugging them in tonight, but because this would just simply plug right into the board, I could plug this right in the back of the Rodecaster Pro and then have a phantom power turned on and be able to run this. Now, because it's wireless, I have to have phantom power on the transmitter, and there's a phantom power switch right here on this device. And so we'll talk about that if we have time, but let's dive right in to our topic tonight. And thank you guys for showing up. We're going to talk about the Blackmagic Design new cinema camera. Obviously, if you know anything about Blackmagic Design, they've been coming out with small cameras for a while now, and they've kind of honed it in on 3 cameras, the 4K, the 6K, and the 6K Pro. I do not own a Blackmagic Design camera, but I did help the local venue here with Matt Elliott, who was here a while back. So if you didn't get a chance to watch that interview with Matt Elliott, we talked about sound. He is a sound engineer at a level that I'm not. And he travels around and does gigantic venue concerts, both for a large production company as well as his own production company. So with that said, when Matt was here, we also put together a mobile Blackmagic Design Pocket Cinema 6K Pro camera. And the reason for that is that he really wanted to use the articulating screen. Obviously, they are going to be shooting at a higher and higher level. Right now, they only broadcast at 1080p, but all of their cameras are shooting 6K, and then they're broadcasting right now at 1080p, but they have an 8K constellation, so they could broadcast at 6K if they so desired. But those 3 cameras, when you talk about the pocket cameras, they have been pretty well around now for a while. The Pro has been out, I think, for a little over a year and a half now, if I have my math right. And so Blackmagic Design just keeps hammering new things home, right? Lots of cool new devices popping into the industry, from the constellations that were just announced, to updates to DaVinci Resolve, to the HyperDeck shuttle. Prior to that, you have the 4K HyperDeck. Before that, you have the HyperDeck Studio HD Plus, which I have here in the studio. And then there's more things. I mean, I'm not even listing all the things that they came out with. They've updated a lot of their converters to USB-C ports, and they're more reliable. They've had all kinds of things. And so I don't know any company right now that's in the industry of video production, live streaming. Obviously, with the ATEMs, we all know the ATEM Mini Extreme came out, and the Extreme Pro ISO, which I have here in the studio. And in fact, let's go ahead and hit record. For whatever reason, this is going up to YouTube, and it looks like we're doing okay. Streaming right now at 6.78. When I'm moving my hands, it goes up. You can see it right there on the screen. If you don't know anything about the multi-view and how that works, that gives you the recording time left, as well as how much I'm streaming the data in megabytes right there. So the Pocket 6K, right, did not have the articulating screen. It doesn't have ND filters in it. It doesn't have some of the higher ISO. It has the smaller Canon batteries. And when the Pro came out, they added this articulating screen. They added a little bit better dual ISO. They also added the viewfinder, so the EVF can be put on the camera. And so there's a lot of cool features. And then the ND filters, a lot of people were super excited about that. But the camera is not small, it's not tiny, it's pretty big. And so there was some talk, and other people speculated this year that they would do an update to the Pocket Cinema line. And they did. The G2 is basically the Pocket Cinema 6K, now updated to the G2, so generation 2, and it is looking like a pretty cool camera. Now, I have been debating for a while. I already have a Portkeys 5.5-inch monitor that has the Bluetooth device on it, so I could actually then Bluetooth into a Blackmagic Design cinema camera. The only reason I've been on the fence is that I haven't been doing a lot of outside shooting, and now that I am doing more and more outside shooting, it's now a little bit more enticing to add that. So an overhead camera to replace my Canon 5D Mark III, or a camera here in the studio that will do 6K, be able to do some of the incredible things that a a Blackmagic Design Pocket Cinema Camera can do. I have to debate now what I'm going to get. So let's take a look at that here in a second. I'm going to bring up SuperSource. Let me just see if anybody else has come in. Yeah, I did have the Skycam on earlier. So here, we'll pop that on here real quick, Freddie. Let's see, chat off the air. Let's go to... So I did roll this in the intro, and we'll fire this up right now. Should just be able to bring chat on the air. Nope, that didn't work. Off the air. Let's switch back here. And now let me just bring up channel 3. And so there's the Skycam. And you can see the layout. So you got the Rodecaster Pro, Mix Effects on my iPad. You've got my Wacom tablet. My laptop's over here off screen. You've got the first camera with the 5.5-inch monitor on top of that. And if you move the little Pez here out of the way, you can see that camera right up there. And then you have the other EOS R right here with the confidence monitor. Then you have all of this. And then the BenQ is all up there. So again, it's kind of nice to be able to have all of this stuff available to me. I got to figure out what I'm going on here. Let me bring the chat back up. So basically what I'm doing, let's put this up. Audio and video, okay, Freddie says. Let's bring this on the air. So what I'm doing is I'm switching between, in OBS, I'm switching between the Skycam, which is a webcam, and I'm switching between chat, which is using Aaron Parecki's plugin. It's a Chrome extension, and I have a video series here on the channel called Pop Out Chat that I break down exactly how I'm doing chat. And so it's kind of one of the complicated things I've added to my live stream. Many of you already know how to do Pop Out Chat. Maybe some of you are listening and you don't know how to do that, but in reality, I'm using OBS, which is a free tool, and I'm projecting it full screen, and that's how I get Freddie's chat on the screen. And then I pop it out so I can have it down here on my Wacom tablet. So it's right here below me, and I can tap on whatever chat I want to pop up. So that is really fun. So like, for instance, I can pop that up. Thank you, Tony, for saying that it's a nice setup. So with that, let's go into SuperSource. And I think I'm ready to go here. I created a macro tonight. So there it is. This is the... and I have my notes here, and I literally have a teleprompter script that's available as well. I don't know that it is working. Let's see here. If I go like that, it plays this video. I don't need that. Let me try this. Yeah, let's reset. We'll come back to that. So anyway, that's the Pocket Cinema Camera 6K G2. And so we're going to talk just a little bit about what they've done. Now, one of the things that I noticed right away as I was watching Grant in the video this week, and a shout out to Freddie. Freddie, I think you sent me the link in an email to let me know that that was happening. So thank you so much for doing that. And so inside that camera, there are no ND filters, but you have added, like I said, the articulating screen has been added to the G2. You could add the what do we call that? I have it written down here. Why can't I think about this tonight? You can add the Pocket Cinema Camera Pro EV, which is $495. So if you want to add that. So what they've done is they've made it just under $2,000. They've taken out the ND filters. which, by the way, I think is a really cool feature. I think the ND filters really kind of make that 6K Pro a dynamo of a camera, especially if you're going to do any kind of outdoor shooting and you want to really kind of have that depth of field. And by the way, the 4K compared to the 6K actually does have better depth of field. Once you add the lenses, the bigger sensor, you get really better video footage with the same lens. And it does have the EF mount. So if you are into Sony or all these other lenses, you would have to adapt them, but you can put Canon lenses on there. And I have one of my Canon lenses. I'm using my 50mm overtop tonight for my overhead camera, because this is kind of the lens I use a lot for shooting landscape. It is the 16-35. It's an f4, which is the aperture, and really great lens. This is an L lens. Kind of know they're L lenses by Canon because they have the red stripe around them. And so right now, this lens is off the camera. It gives me that wide shot on my desk, where tonight I have more of a narrow shot. You can see my desk here, so I'll cut to this real quick and then back to Super Source. So I'm using that 50mm, and I had to raise the camera up to get it to shoot just the Rodecaster Pro version 2, and that's really incredible. So my lenses, and I have an 85mm 1.2, I have a 100mm macro, again an L lens. The 85 is an L lens. I have a 70-200 version 2 Canon zoom lens. It is a 2.8. I have the 50mm right now. I believe it's 1.2. Again, that's the aperture. Then I have my walk around lens, my 24-70 that I purchased originally and bought it when I bought my Canon 5D Mark III, and that was my first lens. And then let's see, do I have anything else? And then I showed you guys this one. So I think that's all my lenses. I would like to add a 35mm to my kit. Obviously, that's a little wider. I find that 50mm is focusing better on my Rodecaster Pro than with my Canon 5D Mark III than I get with my my 3 with my other lens, which is this zoom lens. It doesn't seem to focus as well. And I think my Canon 5D Mark III is just slowly dying. I even have a hard time getting the HDMI to contact. So this is just a great new camera. And so I have a bunch of slides here. So let's just keep pounding through here, and then we'll take some questions. Again, you can pop this little puppy right on top of it. Sorry, it's white. I did not make a slide for that. And here you can see it on the camera in this shot right here. See if I can get this slide in. And I'm just dragging and dropping slides into my media player 1, and they're in Super Source right there as we talk about it. So there you can see the front with the Canon lens on it. You can see the back. You can see the size of it. And so one of the things that I was really curious about, and we'll talk more about the specs, is how did it compare to the old 6K? I mean, what is it? Are there any major differences in size? And so I did the best I could to put together this slide. Where is it? There it is. And so there's the original 6K original, and then next to it, the all new 6K G2. So they look very similar. They're not quite turned the same. These are product shots right from the site. The 6K original is a little older, and but I was able to download the G2 today, and so they're very high-res shots. I wanted you guys to see them side by side, so you can kind of look at the comparison. So when they made the announcement, they said a couple things. I just wanted to read a little bit of this. Please bear with me. I want to just share some of this information. So basically, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K G2 has the latest Blackmagic Generation 5 color science and retains the popular Cinematic Super 35 HDR image sensor with 13 stops of dynamic range, dual native ISO, and the EL mount, yeah, EF mount lenses from the previous model. Again, it's going to retail United States for $19.95. And then one of the things that I really kind of like is that it does use that bigger MP battery like the 6K Pro. It has the same articulating LED screen. You do have the ability to add the same viewfinder, which is the exact same one that you could put on the 6K Pro. So if you already have a 6K Pro and you wanted to buy this as maybe a little bit lighter camera for your studio to add another camera, or use it maybe on a gimbal where you don't think you're going to need the ND filters and that added weight, it is a way for you to reproduce the same look and feel and not have to spend that extra money. Obviously, if you buy the EVF, you're going to spend another $500 approximately. But if you already have one, you can just transfer it from one to the other. Now, I didn't do any research to find out if the small rig cage will fit both cameras identically. So we'll have to do a little bit more research to look at that. But one of the things that really kind of jumped out at me when I was listening to this, in fact, Freddie and I watched it, then I sent this back to Freddie, who's on tonight. I said to him, did you know it has a gyro built into all of the Pocket Cinema cameras? So they have a gyro inside of it. So here's kind of what it says. This update also adds the ability to stabilize Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera clips using the AI-based algorithms and camera gyroscopic metadata. So inside the camera, so if you have a Pocket 6K, you have a Pocket 4K, you have a 6K Pro, or if you get the new G2, you're going to have this gyro in it, and you can actually stabilize the footage, which really caught my attention. In fact, the beta version of DaVinci Resolve version 18, the beta is out. It's a public beta, and you can now stabilize your footage. So it takes the data as you're shooting. And if you watch Grant's video, I have all the links below. I even have a link to another video, not from my channel. If you want to see someone take the 6K Pro and cage it all together in a small rig cage, that video's down there. I have a link to the public announcement where I printed this. And then I also have a link to Grant's video. And basically the fact that this gyroscope has been hidden in the camera all this time is pretty fascinating. Obviously, I think you would have that technology in the camera for finding level. I'm not sure why else they would have it in the camera, but the ability to have this data being recorded on the footage, and now you can bring it in DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve, the new beta version, can read that footage and then stabilize it. That is quite fascinating. So I found that very, very, very fascinating. So actually, we have our helpers here. No cleaning in here. Mom, I'm online. I'm on the air. Okay. So anyway, still live in a house, still got to do stuff here at the house. So, so $19.95, I think, is a great buy, plus the DaVinci Resolve update and some of the other things that they're doing in the DaVinci Resolve update with the camera and the dual ISO, the ability to cut the weight down a little bit, to add the EF, to have the articulating arm, to have pretty much all the other cool features. You can use the same battery grip. So if you have a battery grip right now, you can use it with the new Pocket for the Pro. You can use it with the same NP5, I think it's 570 NPF batteries. I'm pretty sure that's the model number of them. I apologize if I just got that wrong. Looking through all these pages of notes. But the fact that you can use that battery grip, you can add the EF, you don't have to repurchase all that stuff, that's pretty cool. So you could be using that on a gimbal and using the battery on the 6K Pro for a tripod and cut down some of the weight. And I think that's pretty exciting. So if you were going to go a number of Blackmagic cameras, or you already have them in your studio, I think this 6K G2 is a pretty interesting little device. So again, that battery grip's right here. So that could be added to the camera. So that's pretty exciting. Here is Grant making that announcement, and you can see it in the the script there below that it literally, he said it has a gyro sensor built in all 3 models, and that's pretty incredible when you think about it. So pretty amazing camera. So here they all are side by side, right? So you have the original Pocket 4K, you have the new G2 in the middle, and then you have the Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro on the far right. And so this is really designed to replace the old 6K version. So I don't think they're going to be making that anymore now that they have this. So you can go from the 4K with just the screen in the back and a little bit smaller sensor, go to the 6K without ND filters if you want to, and now you get all of the cool new features. And you can actually even shoot at 60 and 120 frames per second windowed with this device, and it is a pretty cool camera. So one more thing I wanted to read here is that it's the sensor size is the 6144 by 3456. It's a Super 35. And one of the things, I guess, in the United States, we would shoot 60 frames per second. At that size, it will shoot up to 50 frames per second. So I guess if you're going to slow down to 24p or 25p, that would be okay. You have to kind of crop and go to a wider format if you want to shoot 60 frames per second, but that is the full sensor at 50 frames per second. So I don't know, it would be nice if they would add the ability to shoot 60 frames per second. I don't know if it's because an overheating issue or something to do with the compression, but in reality, I think if you're outside of the United States and you're used to shooting 50 frames per second, then that's just perfectly fine. But I found that a little bit interesting. So you've got to shoot cropped, but you have the ability to add the 3D LUTs. And one of the things that they've done is they've come out with a new firmware update. And once you update the firmware, you're not going to lose your 3D LUTs every time you update. You will for this first update, but once you have to have the firmware, then my understanding is as we progress to other firmwares, you're going to not lose the LUTs that you have loaded in the camera. And I know at the venue that we set up, now there's LUTs in all of their Blackmagic Design cameras. And the last thing in the world you want to do is have to do firmware updates and then have to put the LUTs back in. That sounds like a hassle to me. So it's got a 1280 by 960 color OLED display, and that's pretty cool. Let's see what else you have here. The viewfinder has a 70-degree swivel range, and it comes with 4 different types of eye cups. That's the viewfinder that you add to it. So there's different eye cups for this little puppy. And then if you look at the side, you can see the mounts there. So you have the ability to add features like this to power it. And then you have the ability, again, to add the EVF. You have the ability to use these batteries, the MP batteries. You have the ability to then add XLR outs. So you have right and left XLR. So it's got really good preamps in it and the ability to add phantom power. So, and then you have a 3.5 millimeter jack if you want to add like a Rode mic, any of those on-camera mics, and you can add those as well to the side, and we'll pop that side view up there one more time. And so you can see all the hookups there on the side of the new 6K G2 by Blackmagic Design. Now, hopefully I don't get any trouble, but this is a really cool image. I just wanted to give a shout out to David, who's on here tonight, who is our resident weekly leader in photography. He is a professional photographer, so he'll understand what a cool shot this is. So I love the bokeh in the background. I just really love this. And so I kind of went a little bit further away from my color schemes today to add that particular shot in the still image. So there's the optional viewfinder. You can take a look at it up close. And I think if I did get a 6K version 2 G2, I would add the viewfinder. I'm used to having a viewfinder on my Canon cameras, even though I have the the mirrorless now. It has a digital viewfinder in it. Obviously, my Canon 5D Mark IV and 5D Mark III have a mirror in it, but this is a real traditional OLED display, as well as the display I have there. Now that's too small. Let me change one thing here. Output to let's see. Where can I go here? I'm not going to change that. I will change this view here real quickly. So you can see the monitor is changing behind me. It's not really in view, but the GK G2 and the 6K Pro support an optional viewfinder to make outdoors and handheld shooting accurate and easy. Again, you can shoot, I think it's 21 megapixel still images, so you can use this as a still image camera. And so that OLED 1280 by 960 screen is really important for that. I like to use all my cameras both as a video camera and an OLED camera. And so I like that it has the 70-degree swivel. So you're getting down to do these shots. Like if I had my macro lens on there and I wanted to get down, then it can swivel up. And that may come in handy too when you're tilting the screen up or you have it in a cage. And I've seen it in a cage. So the viewfinder on and a cage by small rig on it. So hopefully I'm not completely crazy about that. So I just wanted to show you this slide because you have different cups that you can put on it. You can see you've got the compact, the medium, the cinematic left eye, and the cinematic right eye. And I believe when you buy this plug-in adapter, it goes on really easy. You take the plate off, you pop it in, and then you screw it in. You can do it all by hand. I've seen it done on videos. So it sounds like that this camera is pretty well dialed in. This particular shot you see here obviously is the Pocket 6K Pro because it has the ND filters on it. But I wanted you to see the different eye cups and the specs on this. They did not have this back shot with the specs on it for me to share tonight. So just keep in mind, that is not the GK or the G2 6K. That is the Pro that you see in that picture because you have the button on the back to change the ND filters. And I think that is a really, really, really cool feature. So back to that original image. Beautiful looking camera. And I'm looking forward to somehow getting my hands on it. Now I get to play with the one at the venue. So I've had a 6K Pro in my hand. I've gone through the menu system. I've held it. It is a pretty big and pretty heavy camera when you're used to using the 5D Mark IV. So anytime I leave to go shooting, I pull this camera off. It goes in my bag and it goes with me. I leave my EOS R right here. There's just a couple extra things inside my 5D Mark IV I like, especially for the slow motion shooting. And they both have pretty much the same crop factor if I go to shoot 4K. So, okay, I'm going to take a drink and we're going to pop back into me in the logo view. And I would love to see if you guys have any thoughts or comments in the chat. Now you can see that I put me in the background. So we'll change the output back to multi-view. And again, you can see that I have the splitter. I have multi-view up here and I have multi-view back there. And one day I might get a Constellation ME2 so I can send whatever I want to different cameras and not have to split them to go to multiple places. So I love the outputs on that device. Okay, so let's see. That is chat. Quit doing that. I don't know why that video has been playing every time I change inputs on my ATEM Mini Pro, and all of a sudden I have my HyperDeck playing lately, and I'm not sure why that is. I may have to look and see if maybe it's assigned to that. So, okay, let's get back into the chat and let's just see what you guys have to say here. Chat on the air. Let me scroll back here. That's better. So this is a great question, Tony, Quick Tech Solutions. I'm assuming that the 6K is the micro 4/3 like the rest of the line. It's a 35 millimeter sensor. So help me here, David. I believe that because it's 6144 by 3456, a Super 35, I'm not sure it's a micro 4/3. I'm pretty sure it's full frame when you put the EF lenses on, the Canon lenses. And the only time it's going to shoot crop is, I believe, when you are doing certain frame rates. But I don't know. Maybe that's a question I need to look up and comment on later. So I will definitely need some help on that if any of you guys know. But that is a great question. Sorry that I don't know the answer right off the bat. I am going to go on the webpage here and look here in a second. Yeah, it is the EF mount. I probably was saying it wrong. The 6K Pro also has the EF mount. The new Pocket Cinema Camera 6K G2 also has the EF mount. Freddie's asking me, am I getting a 6K? Well, I've always been getting one. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet, Freddie. So, so it's a big investment, and I do have some money set aside. But I've been waiting. I felt like something like this was coming. I just have to decide now how important it is to have the ND filters. And in reality, it is pretty important. So let me process, and I will give you guys an update. I probably would not be doing this live stream tonight and talking about it if I was not heading that direction. I will say this, compared to what I've seen, and I've had a A6400 Sony that I've used with some venues install, and so we shot some footage. I look at that footage every week as they upload it to social media. I've been dealing with Canon for a while. When I was working at the other dealership back a while, we were shooting with a Sony camera. So we did some commercials with it. So I'm very familiar with the raw footage. I'm very familiar with that. I'm very familiar with the raw footage from the Canon products. And I got to tell you, there's some things about the Blackmagic cinema cameras that really catches my eye. When I watch the film and the samples, it just seems to have some depth of field, I mean, again, you know, it's got 13 stops of dynamic range, so it's got great dynamic range, and obviously you're seeing some of that in the newer cameras coming out. But again, the newest camera I have in my lineup is the Canon EOS R, and then obviously being able to shoot raw, 13 stops of extra light, and then the frame rate and the different shooting formats that you can do in it. And then I'm kind of fascinated with DaVinci Resolve as well, especially that, and then just some of the new updates they've done, just this whole cloud system that Blackmagic Design has come up. So I'm quite fascinated. So I'm not really on the fence. It's just not time yet to pull the trigger on that, Freddie, but that is a great question, and I'm leaning that way. I just have to decide now, is it 6K or is it 6K Pro? Now that there's the G2 version. I would not have purchased the old 6K, so it would have been the Pro for sure. I just wanted to see what else they would come out with. Yeah, so the low light is performing better. It's got dual ISO. There's some samples. They've also made some updates. Oh, wait, this is David. Yeah. They've also made some updates to the focus. So it's supposed to be focusing together, but it definitely does not focus like a Sony camera. And from what I've seen, Sony's have the best focusing. With that, just barely behind that would be Canon's new cameras. I'm also considering another camera, which is the new R7, but I'm still struggling with the whole crop sensor. But I like the price of that camera. I like what I may purchase my first RF lens and get that camera to replace my Canon. And here's what I'm realizing, that shooting outside of my studio for production and shooting inside my studio for live streaming and videos are two different things. And I'm going to have to probably start thinking about it that way. I want a lightweight camera up there, so the R7 would be perfect for that. Can use it with my current lenses. I already ended up with an extra adapter because I thought I was buying an EOS R. So there's a brand new adapter in here. So I'll be able to adapt my EF lenses to the R7, just like I have to adapt them to my EOS R. And then I also, again, the Blackmagic Design, I love it. I can just pop my lenses on. I have lots of investment in those EF lenses, just looking down again to make sure I'm saying that right. So again, you know, when we're talking cameras, David, you'll agree with this, and the rest of you as well that have been around cameras for a while, there's a lot of language that we're talking about all the time. So obviously the focus, low light, yeah, the EOS R7 is for sure on my list. In fact, I'm considering pulling the trigger on that very soon. That will definitely be a purchase before the Blackmagic Design, either the 6K, which is way more affordable for me than, because I'm going to add the OLED eyepiece EF to it, so that's going to be another $500. So I like the price of that 6K G2 over the one with the ND filters, but I like the speed of changing the ND filters right on the back of the 6K Pro. So I hope that kind of answers your question, David. Yeah, and the EOS R definitely has clean HDMI out, so it is a perfect solution, for Tony, for my situation. And David saying he's pretty sure it's a micro 4/3. So, and that's again something I'm going to have to kind of think through. But the footage looks amazing. That would explain obviously the low light performance. But again, they have added that dual ISO, and so there's a setting for dark nighttime, and there's another setting. Sorry about that. I usually have my phone on off. So we'll see. The jury's still out, but I love the idea of both the EOS R7 in the studio and starting to play with a Pocket Cinema Camera. And I don't do a lot of night shooting. If I did, I have my other cameras that I could bust out, so I could use my Canon cameras. They shoot great in low light. And I think I read to you guys let's see, it's here somewhere, looking through the notes. 25,600 ISO for low light performance. So 25,600. So I would say get on the YouTube and look at some of the samples on the 6K Pro. Obviously everybody shoots differently, and they all use different settings. So being really good at controlling your camera and knowing what settings work with that particular camera in low light, especially if you're shooting RAW, is super important. We learned that shooting Sony RAW years ago, and making sure that we knew exactly how to expose it correctly. And so it's the same way when you're shooting RAW on a Canon, same thing when you're shooting RAW on a Blackmagic Design camera. So keep that in mind. So that's pretty cool. It's the F570s are the batteries that fit inside, two of those inside the battery mount. And again, they are interswitchable between the 6K Pro and the new 6K G2. So I think I've shared all the slides, except for maybe this one. So let me bust back in here real quick and we'll get back into the chat. I'm gonna do chat off the air for a second here. Here is the back of the camera. And so you can see it looks very similar to the 6K Pro. You got the articulated screen. It does not have the OLED on it in this shot. So you can see what it looks like. That's the little mount you take off. And then under that is where you would snap on the OLED. And again, I would definitely get one of those, and I'd probably use it on and off depending if I was shooting on the gimbal. I like the fact that it comes on and off really easily, and I think that's cool. So side by side, there they are, old and new, and here are the lineup side by side. And then again, you have the ability to pop these features on. So each of these are available to you to use with that camera. And these are the batteries that go in that mount. And then you have the ability to add in XLR cables as well, and it's pretty exciting. So pretty cool looking new camera. We'll have to see what the long scoop is and what I'm going to do here in the studio. So, okay, let's bust through the rest of these. Hey, Eric, thanks for joining me tonight. Pop you on there. I appreciate you being with us. Thanks for saying hi. Hey, we're talking about the EOS R7. I believe that's the price, $14.95, which is a really good price. And then if you add a RF lens, obviously it just depends on what you're going to get. I really do want the apertures that I'm used to shooting. So I will probably get a, one of the higher end RF lenses for my camera eventually. And yes, that's true, David. At the end of the day, you get what you want. But I love talking about it. I love getting your guys' input. As you do research, I would love to hear from you. You can always go back to this video and make comments below if you discover anything. Or again, if you have my email, email me. Again, I like taking this journey together. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, so you can live stream from the R7. It's got a clean HDMI out, and it doesn't time out. It doesn't have some of the problems that you would see in some of the smaller cameras that came out. There were some overheating going on in some of those smaller cameras that we talked about here before, as well as the R6 and R7 had overheating, or excuse me, R6 and R5 had some overheating issues, and that's supposed to be solved, I believe so, in the R7, but only testing in time will tell. You're welcome, Tony. I think more people answered you than just me. So Blackmagic is a Super 35, so the same as the R7. Okay, so again, the R7 is cropped, and when you get into the EOS R and the R5 and the R6, then you're looking at a full frame sensor, so that is correct. Okay, my streaming camera, you can ask me, Eric, and so here you go. It is a Canon 5D Mark IV, and I have it set to eye detect autofocus. So as I move around, occasionally I'll lose focus because it'll focus on this. But again, normally it's focusing on my eyes. Sometimes when I have it outside of the studio, and it's been every week, like this will probably come down tonight and go in a bag and go on the road with me. So the port keys 5.5-inch monitor comes down. It goes with me in the bag, and then I grab a couple MPF batteries, the bigger ones, the 970s, and that goes on the road with me. I grab 2 of those. So if I'm doing anything where I really need to have the ability to do all the critical looking, I want this 2000 nit monitor with me. So again, And on that, I believe right now, I have the F4 24 to 105. Nope, I actually have the F2.8 24 to 70. So at some point I switched them between the two cameras. So again, HDMI out 30, basically just under 30 frames per second, feeding that into my extreme ISO, the Blackmagic Design 810 extreme ISO, and then streaming it out right from my extreme ISO. So thank you for asking, but that is the camera that I'm using. Teleprompter screen. Yeah, I wanted to do that tonight, Freddie. We're going to try that here in a minute, so hang tight. Come back to that. Micro Four Thirds mystery solved. That is correct. Good to have you here, DJ Ware. Always is great to have you. So you have to go back and watch some of the things we talked about and the slides that I showed, talking about the Blackmagic Design Cinema Camera 6K G2, so version generation 2, which replaces the old 6K. So now you have the 4K, then you have a new version 6K that with an articulating screen, the ability to do some other cool things and cool features in it, and some interchangeable features between it and the 6K Pro. So yeah, so I'm gonna have a 1.5 crop. I don't like crop. So when I'm shooting 4K, so someday I will figure out how to get rid of that. It's just a big investment of dollars to lose the crop. If you don't know what crop is, so what's happening is that instead of having the full view, right, of the sensor in the film, when you are shooting 4K, it crops it down so you don't have that. Now, if you want to be able to shoot further with like a 50 millimeter lens, a 50 millimeter is going to be times 1.5. So if you do the math, you're going from 50 to approximately 70 mil. So you could take a 50 mil camera, shoot 4K, even at a wedding with like a Canon 5D Mark IV or with my EOS R, I could actually then just take frames off of that crop sensor and get in closer, or use it or not shoot 4K. So David, you're right. It is a 1.5, and I think it's even 1.7 on the EOS R, if I remember right. And then in the new R7, I think it's 1.7 crop as well. So again, we're all over the place. So it's somewhere between 1.5 and 1.7, Freddie. So you split the difference. So you might win whatever the prize is. So, okay. So let's see. I think I got to all the chat here. Make sure I didn't miss anybody here. I don't know if I showed this earlier. So TVJ did say hi to everyone, and lots of people saying hi to him. But I do feel like this is a true statement. Blackmagic Design just keeps doing it. It's hard for me not to be a fan with all of the features and things that they're doing. I'm having a great time playing around with the new HyperDeck shuttle with the teleprompter. So we'll try to get that working here shortly. It is in this view here. So let me turn chat off the air. And do not know why that keeps playing. I'm going to reset this real quick. And then also, I have the ability to use a shortcut that Adam Tao came up with that lets me select the format. So I can select teleprompter mode. So I'm going to do that right now, and it fired up. So that's good. So what I'll do now is I'll show you this document, and I'm getting ready to do the video. The first video I am going to produce as soon as I have a minute is going to be on the HyperDeck shuttle. I want to walk people through how to take a document like this, cut and paste, put it in Word, export it into a teleprompter file and then bring it into the HyperDeck shuttle or HD shuttle and be able to play it on the screen. So I'm going to cut back here into Super Source using Mix Effects here. Let's do this. Instead of the slides, I'm going to change what's in box 2 here. And let's go 3. So that's the teleprompter. And so if I push the jog and the shuttle buttons and I don't have an overhead camera, I will tether real quickly, Freddie, to make this a little bit more fun to watch. If I can get this thing to tether. But I can't do both at the same time, so I'll be able to cut to this camera. It's going to appear right in that same box because that box is coming from my A10 Mini Pro, and my Apple TV is in my Pro as well. So I'm tethering. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screencast my iPhone to my Apple TV, which is under my desk, plugged in to my A10 Mini Pro, and it's in channel 4, input 4. So HDMI out of the Apple TV into channel 4. There's a little bit of latency. So if you watched last week's video when I was unboxing the Rodecaster Pro version 2, and if you haven't seen that, I love the device. We're going to talk more about it in next week's post show, as well as an appearance from Ratso, because he's excited to meet the Rodecaster Pro and use the voice effects. So that'll be fun next week. So let me go into the home theater and screencast here. Then we are going to open up Filmic Pro, and then I'm going to switch real quick just to show you the HyperDeck and this. Let's go right like this, back to the shortcut. So let's see, let's cut. Hopefully this will work. So that's the shortcuts, and I have all these shortcuts, though I haven't been using them. But I can use the shortcut right here. It's this shortcut right there. And if I click on it, it opens up the screen, and I can select the teleprompter mode. I can select H.264, and obviously my disc has ProRes on it. So I can take any one of these ProRes. So I'm just going to click on ProRes. And now when I switch back, so I am going to switch back, show you guys this screen real quick. I'm going to switch back, and my camera is going to go dead. And you're going to see the shuttle on the screen right here in Super Source. You should be seeing, what did I do? Oh, pushed the wrong ATEM. So that is my shuttle. And I can now fix that problem. I can push these 2 buttons and then slowly scroll through that video. Oh, and you can't see the buttons, so I'm going to switch back. Hit stop. I'm going to switch back. So I can push these 2 buttons, jog and scroll at the same time. And now I have the ability to scroll really slow. And you can watch it on the screen. So I'm going to scroll really slow, and I'll switch so you guys can see it. Sorry, I can't have both of those on the screen at the same time. So I can scroll forward and back, and I can just barely turn it to let it just go really, really slow. And so if I want right now, I can open up this shortcut and go back to teleprompter mode, right? Switch back to Super Source, and now we have that document. And if I push the 2 buttons, the scroll and the jog feature, then I can just slowly go through this. So it's in Super Source, so I could read this. It's going really too fast for me to read it. You could put spaces in there to give yourself more time, because you can see this is just way too fast, but I could slow it down even more. So now it's just crawling. So Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K G2 is available immediately from Blackmagic Design resellers worldwide for US $1,995. The elegant design of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera packs an incredible number of high-end digital film features into a miniaturized handheld design. And then see, it's already gone past, because you guys are reading with it too. So I love this little shuttle. I'm really enjoying it. And I love even more the fact that I have this shortcut. Now you have to have the pro version, but I love the fact that Adam Tao made these shortcuts so I can control things that you can't normally control. Now, one of the things that you can control through a shortcut, right, and these run on your iOS device, is which disk you want to play from. So if I rotate my phone over here to my HyperDeck, right, Studio HD Plus, then I have 2 discs in here, and I also could hook a USB-C SSD drive, so I could have an SSD drive plugged into it as well. And with that plug-in, I can switch to the SSD drive, where with MixFX, I can choose which disc is right here if I had 2 in here. And you can see I only have 1. I have my intro and my outro video on this disc. And then over here, I have my subscribe logo. And so I could bring that on the screen. So MixFX let me choose between these 2, but in order to choose between those 2 as well as the SSD in the back, which is coming out, that would come out of the USB-C port, you have to have a shortcut. And I love the fact that these shortcuts are available right now. So this would be current HyperDeck short select. This is the shortcut that I'm talking about, set HyperDeck drive. And I don't have those active yet. I have to set them up. I just haven't activated them yet, but I plan on doing that and doing a video on these. Thank you, Adam Tao, for adding these incredible, cool features. So I can just double tap the button and then go back to MixFX. So it takes a second for MixFX to come back on. So it's going to reconnect. And then I can go back to my macros and go back to this macro right here. I'm running from MixFX, me and a logo, and so now I'm back. So hopefully that makes you happy, Freddie. I was able to do that little trick for you. Not sure why my videos keep playing every time I switch to my ATEM. That's a bug. I'm going to have to reboot my ATEM Mini Pro. So, okay, so we did that. Oh, what did I do here? Wrong input. So Doug Forrest said this. Yes, they are introducing a steady stream of gear. And that's pretty cool that all that gear is available. That was earlier. The only camera I still have is my A1 Laugh Out Loud. So that's DJ Ware. Again, that's a Sony. Yes, Tony, I do upscale my videos when I produce them to 4K. I don't produce them in 4K. I just upscale them. Maybe that's not the right way to do it because it's not the same as shooting in 4K and then uploading in 4K. But it's just the process of editing a video, shooting 4K is no fun, really. And I can do that because 2 cameras shoot 4K, but I'm using the ISO features in my Extreme ATEM Mini Extreme ISO when I'm shooting a video, so I can have all the different inputs. And then if you want to record super source, then you're going to have to, I'll have to unplug one of my outputs to one of these monitors and then put that in one of my inputs in my Extreme ISO so I can record that, because you cannot record super source inside the ATEM Mini Extreme or the Extreme ISO. You have to use it as an input from your outputs, multi-view or super source, and then send it in there. And Aaron Precky has a video about that on his channel. So again, 1080p, all edited together, and then I upload it or render it, upscale it to 4K in Adobe Premiere. Yeah, if you're talking about connecting a Blackmagic camera to an ATEM and then using the ability to control the camera, that would be quite fascinating. You do have the ability to Bluetooth control A Blackmagic camera, to me, that's a little bit more appealing than to do it, but I can see why you'd want to do that in a production. I don't do any mobile productions with my ATEMs, but if I was doing some mobile productions, obviously I would probably consider getting Blackmagic Design cameras. But again, it just depends on the light in the room. So that's kind of a toss-up because the bigger sensors in my Canon cameras would do better if they didn't have great light in a venue. I do carry my own lights, but again, lighting for a video production, lighting for a production in a room like a conference is a complete different thing. So I've done both. You just flood light from your LEDs, and you need all of them to get light in a big room of 150 people. So that's where you hire a light company to come in and put up powerful LEDs at that moment. So, okay, so how am I feeling about the new Rodecaster Pro? So let's untime out this camera. See if we can fire that back up. I'm going to go chat off the air, cut to camera 3. I'm going to cut to this. So there is the Rodecaster Pro. So I love the fact that I can go through the different banks. So these are my tracks. So if I play it right now, this is a short version. This is a longer version. So I can play those. I like that you can bank through those. These are the voice effects. So right now, if I go to the small robot, which is this one.
Testing 1 2, check, testing 1 2.
So
testing 1 2, check, testing 1 2.
So hopefully you guys heard that robot. Let me put my live headphones on here. Let's try that again.
Testing 1 2, check.
I want you to know you better subscribe.
I'm just kidding. So please don't get mad at me. So I love some of the features. We're going to play with that next week in the post show. We're going to change Ratso's voice. That ought to be fun. He's excited to play around with the Rodecaster Pro. So I love the fact that I have the ability. So here's what I've learned since last week. You have 2 USB-C interfaces built into one device. So I can go into my laptop using a USB-C port, and inside that USB-C port is 2 devices. So I have a chat device interface and I have the main interface. If I want mix minus, like in a Zoom call, then I'm going to use that same USB-C port, give me the ability to use it for mix minus. If I just want to use it as an interface, like a live stream like I am right now, and I'm not trying to talk to someone and take out their voice, then I'll just use the main output. Then you can also put USB-C 2 into my PC, and I haven't played with that yet. I've tested it, but I haven't hooked it up. So I only have one USB-C port plugged in. I will say this: it's 4 times as powerful processor. You need to have a pretty hefty USB-C cable. I don't have any USB-C ports left. I only have 3.0 USB-A ports. So I'm going USB-C from the back of the Rodecaster Pro version 2 into the side of my laptop in a 3.0 port, converting it, obviously. But it comes with a really hefty USB-C port. So we'll have to see if I get any latency or any issues. You definitely want to dedicate a port to the Rodecaster Pro version 2. And guys, I have so many monitors. I'm using a Thunderbolt to a device. It has 2 monitors hooked to it. So I'm really taking my little Asus Duo ZenBook to the very max. That's why I don't use my little second monitor, because I'm sending that Asus to my BenQ. I'm also sending it into our live stream so I can share my desktop. Like my desktop right now is live. Let me change what's on here real quick. Let's find a Blackmagic page here and cut to desktop. So DaVinci Resolve has a new update, and it's a beta. So you're able to use that now, and you can try your gyro, so you can go shoot some footage handheld and then use DaVinci Resolve, the new beta, to try to stabilize it. So again, I think that's pretty cool. So my desktop comes into live stream. My other PC desktop comes into the live stream. That's how we do chat. So the Rodecaster Pro in reality has been an exciting device, and I'm still getting used to it. I can change all the colors. I can put the lines in any of the faders. So if I want the USB-Cs to be in a fader, right now I have USB 1 on channel 3, and I have USB 2 on channel 4. So this is the main, this is the chat. I'm using chat right now only because that's just the way I was hooked up earlier today, because I was using Zoom. And so both of those are hot. I could bring one fader down, the other one up, and you would hear it live in the show. So I am really thoroughly enjoying this device, and I would highly recommend it because I really think it does streaming well, has great preamps. You have the ability to mix and match different things. You can control things now with the MIDI pads, and I have not played with that yet, but they'll go both ways. So I can program those to run devices as well as fade in channels and fade out channels, which would be really great for fading this microphone in and out rather than pushing the mute button like I do when I roll my intro and my outro videos. So, okay. TVJ says he loves the teleprompter. Thank you. I love it too. You're welcome, Freddie. Oh, the A1 is a Canon film camera. Yeah, I remember those. So good for you, DJ. So that's the last Canon you have. See you later, TVJ. Thanks for joining us. I'm looking at the time. We're going to wrap it up here shortly. And then you're welcome, Tony. Thanks. In regarding your 4K question, been thinking about doing this myself. I can render to 4K in DaVinci Resolve, just wondering if it's really beneficial. I think having a 4K version of your videos up on your channel is a little bit future-proof. We don't know how quickly things are going to switch over. I do already use 4K monitors on my laptop. I have a 4K 32-inch monitor, so I'm starting to shoot 4K on my camera. I have my new light chaser case and my filters now, so I've been shooting 4K 60 frames per second handheld, and then I can slow it down to get it looking more smooth. So I just think 4K is kind of where we're headed and where we're going. So yeah, thank you. Interesting night. Good to have you. Lieutenant A.K. Allen, thanks for joining us, and appreciate having you here. Yeah, future-proofing for YouTube. You never know how long we're going to be on YouTube. I'm building my channel. Obviously, I haven't done a great job of uploading videos lately, but I do have a number of devices I'm wanting to do videos on. I just took on this extra client that's taking really 4 days a week, and I'm going to be doing 10 days in a row with that client in July. So things are going to get crazy around here, but I do want to get that HyperDeck shuttle video out. I've been wanting to get that done. I have it all planned out in my head. That's not going to be a real difficult one to do with SuperSource available to me. So I can share my PC. I can also share the teleprompter view, and I can teach you guys how to create a teleprompter file and show you guys how to use the shortcut to switch between sources. That makes it where you don't have to push the buttons on the HyperDeck shuttle menu system, which is going to show up on the screen anyway. I love that Adam Tao came out with this shortcut that all I have to do is just open it on my iPad and switch from teleprompter view if I'm not using a teleprompter, and switch right over to Apple ProRes if I want to show a video. Now, I already have a HyperDeck Mini. I already have a HyperDeck Studio HD Plus. So I have both of those. Again, I can play my Subscribe. That's playing out of HyperDeck, my Studio Mini, and then I have my intro reel and my outro reels playing from my HyperDeck HD Studio HD Plus, and so the shuttle is just a bonus HyperDeck for me, and I think it's going to be a great tool for training because I can put notes on the screen, even if I just took a snippet of this document. That would be great to be able to put on the screen. So the teleprompter feature, in my opinion, is worth the cost of the HyperDeck Shuttle HD. And again, I'm sure they'll come out with a 4K sometime soon. So, okay, I do want to wrap up tonight, but I do want to talk audio for 1 second. So if you guys can give me 5 minutes, I do want to, hey, Craig, thanks for joining me. Just want to say hi. I saw you in the chat. So I do want to talk about how condenser microphones and dynamic microphones are quite a bit different. But the good news is condenser microphones really have a use, both in the studio for recording vocals, great tool, really picks up all the little nuances, but you really would want to isolate the singer. But when you are traveling around trying to get someone, capture someone's audio, you can either do a shock mount and use this with this foam covering indoors, or you can put it in the blimp. So this microphone will go inside this blimp. So you just unscrew the caps, front and back. So blimp 101. And then if I loosen up these little knobs right here, I think I had this out one other time on my show. I'm having deja vu, but loosen this up a little bit more. This will snap out. And so I could use this on a boom pole, which is what I do. I don't need to have another shock mount. I just screw this together like this. Obviously, you'd have it on a C-stand or something if you're going to use it inside your studio, but this is more for me being mobile. And then this just snaps in. I'm going to thread it. It's faster. Hooking a Rodecaster Pro up is easier live than putting this together. So there it is inside. And so now I have the ability to have a boom pole. So I can bring this right up to the camera. And so again, then I can slide this on. If I needed to go outside, I can put the dead cat on. And then with the ability to go wirelessly, I can plug this in, turn on phantom power, plug this into my sound device, MixPre 6, or in my Rodecaster Pro if I was going to use it in here. Turn both of these on. I can choose one of 6 channels on here, and then now I'm mobile. So again, this is going to pick up all the little nuances. If you're going to do like a recording of water, or you're going to do a recording of people talking, like this commercial we're doing, I would be using this to get the best possible audio. So I would be a boom operator. And a lot of times, because I believe audio is so important, I will loan myself out to a company when I'm working with a company that's having things shot, because I have some really good equipment and I can get backup audio for them. And then I just hand them the files from my sound device or my MixPre 6 or from my Pro, if I go that direction. So that's just a little behind the scenes look. Obviously, you can plug a mic cord in the back of that that NTG 3. I think it's an NTG 3. What is it? Yeah, NTG C3 condenser microphone, and it does need phantom power to perform. And I like dynamic microphones in the studio because they cancel out a lot more sound and you have to boost them more. But you can hear what my SM7B sounds tonight in the Rodecaster Pro 2 without a cloud lifter. The cloud lifter has now been retired. It's in my drawer. And what the cloud lifter is, it's just a device to boost the gain coming from this microphone. So you turn phantom power on and that phantom power boosts the gain. But if you add a cloud lifter to this microphone now with the Rodecaster Pro version 2, you're going to introduce noise because these preamps are that crystal clear. So you'll have to tell me tonight what you think it sounds like. I've been playing with the settings on my microphone to get my voice sounding like you guys are used to every Tuesday night. So that's pretty much it. We have talked about the Blackmagic Design Pocket Cinema Camera 6K G2 Generation 2 and the new features with it. Also the firmware update that's available for all the Pocket Cinema cameras. And adding some cool new features, better focus, a lot of cool things. And again, that's right here on my screen. So DaVinci Resolve has new features in it as well. There's a beta version. And you're able to do a lot of new things with DaVinci Resolve. So if you have not downloaded DaVinci Resolve yet, get the new Beta 18 and check it out. And the newest version that was released today, the Open Beta 5, has that new gyro feature in it where you can stabilize footage that you've already recorded in any one of the Pocket Cinema cameras that you may own. The 6K, the 4K, the new 6K Pro, all of those have a gyro built into it. That information is built into the film, and now DaVinci Resolve can get that data and help stabilize your footage. That's pretty cool. So let's look at the chat, then we'll say goodnight, and I will see you guys next week with another exciting show at 4 o'clock Tuesday. And then after that, a post show with Ratso, who is going to be doing a routine and actually doing some interesting things with his voice. And that will be out of the effects in the Rodecaster Pro version 2. So, okay. New Rise TV says my microphone sounds overly compressed. Thank you for that input. I will take a look at the compression settings. I think I have 2-to-1, so we'll take a look at that. Again, I'm still playing with it to get it to sound the best it can. So thank you very much for your input. That's a very cool boom setup with the wireless transmission, including phantom power. Yeah, and this is X5. They have a phantom power version of this and a non-phantom power version of these wireless microphones, transmitter and receiver. So this is the receiver, and the transmitter is now plugged in right there on the bottom of that condenser microphone. And I have these out because I will be playing with them tomorrow at that shoot. So that will be exciting. Is the mic setup expensive? Well, I think the microphone was about $600, but there's cheaper quality Rode microphones now. I've had this one for about 5 years. And then I think this kit was a couple $100 for the phantom power version. The blimp's not super inexpensive, but you can take a look at those. I will work on some links and get them on the video. I don't have any links to the blimp or the NTG3, but again, there are many manufacturers of condenser shotgun microphones, but that's what you would want to use when you're shooting video on set to be able to reach out and isolate their voice. Again, the pencil condensers are designed to really focus in directly, and then when the back end is aiming up, that's the other end that's exposed. So you will get some pickup from the back of this microphone. So the fact that it's up in the air, you will get a plane flying over top. So keep that in mind, but it's very much directional. So you got to point that right at just below the chin at the chest of whoever you are booming over. Or if you're just going to set it up in your studio, then you would aim it on like a C-stand. And again, Aaron Parecki uses the condenser microphone in his live streams every Sunday at 10 a.m. So check that out. He has a little condenser microphone right above his head on a C-stand, I believe, and it sounds amazing. I like the Shure SM7B. I appreciate it very much, and I will be working on the compression just to make sure that I don't have too much. Looking for my Wacom pin? Thank you, Freddie. Please do hit the like button and share these videos if you appreciate them. Not sure why I can't get Freddie up there. There we go. And thank you, Freddie, for always thinking about the channel and letting people know that like really helps the algorithm. So that's it. That's it for tonight's live show. We're going to get out and hopefully see you guys here again next Tuesday. Again, I'm trying to get those videos out. HyperDeck shuttle video on using the teleprompter and the other features. The Osmo Gimbal 5 for my phone, the Light Chaser kit, as well as the DJI mic wireless kit. I'm probably going to do a combined video with all three of those devices and release those all three of them separately. But you'll be seeing all three of those devices at the same time, with the exception of the fourth, which is the HyperDeck shuttle. So that's it for me. I will see you guys next week. I have home insurance on my equipment, but I do not have any insurance when I travel. So I'm very selective about what I take out of the studio. And I am working on a contract right now with my insurance agent for insuring my equipment, because that was all shut off when we were stuck in the house and I wasn't doing any production. And now that I'm starting to do production, I'm doing most of it right now on my iPhone, but I do take my cameras out for photography. And when I'm worried about it, I take out my Canon 5D Mark III because that's my oldest camera. And if it got broke, I would just get it repaired and wouldn't hurt my live stream. So thank you, Tony, for that comment. I appreciate it. Have a great night to you too, Freddie. Thank you so much for you guys joining me tonight. Hopefully I haven't missed anybody. Thank you for being a part of the stream. I hope again to see you guys here on the channel. Please check out some of the other videos. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for using some of the links from Amazon that are on my channel, because that does help support, and I appreciate your support very much. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. So if you're not chatting tonight, that means that you're probably watching and not subscribed, because I do have subscriber-only chat on. If you subscribe, you can chat in 5 minutes. So those of you that have subscribed tonight for the very first time, I thank you. And those of you that are watching this video after it was live, I hope you'll subscribe as well and hang out here on the channel. I'm live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then I have a post show every other week. And that will be next week here on the stream at 5:15, 5:20. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me. That's it for me. This is Keith Bennett from Life Journey Production Studios. I thank you, and you guys have an amazing week, and I'll see you in the next video or the next live very soon. I'm out. Peace.